You know, there's a global resource crisis building right now, and it is hiding in plain sight. No, it's not about oil, it's not about lithium, it's about something we all touch every single day. And we are on a collision course for the year 2031.
So just think about it for a second. That cardboard box that showed up at your door, the fabric in that comfy t-shirt in your closet, the viscose or lyocell, even the paper wrapper on your sandwich. They all come from the exact same place, the same raw material.
And that's the kicker, isn't it? We've always just assumed this stuff is, well, infinite. But a perfect storm of factors is brewing, and it's changing everything. The shockwaves from this could be absolutely massive.
All right, so what is this mystery material we're talking about? Well, it all comes down to one thing: cellulose. So cellulose is basically the primary building block of the entire plant kingdom. It's what makes trees strong and lets them stand tall. For literally centuries, we've been harvesting it to make everything from the paper in our books to the fibers in our clothes. It is, no joke, the very fiber of our modern world. Okay, so let's dig into the first piece of this puzzle, our absolutely insatiable, explosive global demand for this stuff. What's happening is this huge global pivot to what people are calling the bioeconomy. The goal is to use renewable things, like plants, to make everything from our packaging to our fuels. And look, that's a fantastic goal, right? We all want to ditch fossil fuel-based plastics, but there's a catch. This massive, well-meaning shift is creating a surge in demand for wood and plant fibers like we have never seen before. And just look at the scale of this change. This chart isn't just showing growth, it's showing a market that's absolutely skyrocketing towards 2030. Every single e-commerce box, every paper cup, every single thing we use to replace plastic is fueling this insane vertical climb. And this chart really shows that this isn't just about cardboard boxes. Yeah, packaging is the biggest piece of the pie for sure, but look at the other slices. The fashion industry wants more plant-based fabrics like viscose. Pharma and food companies are finding all these new ways to use cellulose. The demand is literally coming from every direction all at the same time.
This quote just nails it. We're essentially asking one single resource, our planet's forests, to solve our massive plastics problem, to clothe us, and to deliver all our online shopping. All while that very resource is facing its own set of huge challenges.
Which brings us to the supply side of the equation. Because while demand is going through the roof, the source of all that cellulose, the world's forests, is under some really serious strain.
And the thing is, it's not just one problem. It's a bunch of things hitting the supply chain all at once. Climate change is fueling these historic wildfires. Think about Canada's boreal forests, which just torch massive amounts of future supply. At the same time, we're still clearing forests for things like farming. And even the trees that are still standing are struggling as climate shifts mess with their health and growth. Any one of these would be a big deal, but together, they're putting a powerful brake on supply.
And as if all of that wasn't enough, a third, absolute game-changing factor has just walked onto the stage. A new layer of policy that is completely rewriting the rules of the global game.
Say hello to the EU Deforestation Regulation, or EUDR, and trust me, this is a seismic shift. Starting in 2024, if you want to sell anything made from wood, paper, or pulp in the EU, one of the biggest markets in the world, you have to prove, with cold hard data, exactly where that wood came from and that it didn't cause any deforestation.
And no, this is not just some simple checkbox on a form. We're talking about companies needing to collect precise GPS coordinates for the actual plot of land where trees were cut. They have to run these complex risk assessments and then go public with a statement proving they're clean. The burden of proof here is just immense.
So, what's the immediate effect? Well, it makes getting compliant wood fiber a whole lot harder and a whole lot more expensive. Some folks, especially smaller suppliers who just can't handle all that paperwork, might get completely locked out of the European market. This just squeezes an already tightening global supply even more. So, let's bring it all together. You've got surging demand on one side, a shrinking, stressed-out supply on the other, and a complex new web of regulations right in the middle. This is the collision course that we're calling the 2031 paper shock.
I mean, this slide just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you have all these powerful engines pushing demand forward. On the other, you have these massive brakes slamming down on supply. The pressure building up in the middle of that squeeze is just incredible, and it's creating the perfect conditions for a major shock to the system.
So let's just walk through this countdown. Back in 2023, we saw the Canadian wildfires send a real shock through the pulp market.
Right now, in 2024, the EUDR is starting to add all this new friction. Now, as we race towards 2030, every forecast shows demand for these green materials hitting an all-time peak. And that brings us to 2031, the potential tipping point, the year where this squeezed, constrained supply might just break. It might simply be unable to meet all that peak demand.
So the huge question we're left with is this. We're banking our entire green future on a foundation built from trees. But what happens if that very foundation starts to crack under all this pressure? What happens when we run out of paper?